It is the most significant AI process I've created in the past 2 years that I've been in this game, and I am never more happy and proud of the fact that in a niche where everyone is trying to sell you 10,000 prompts to solve one problem, I am giving the world one prompt to solve 10,000 problems or more. What you're about to see is a snippet from a workshop that I recently conducted where I taught people all about the AI coach method. I've extracted the most relevant part about the workshop to share it right here on YouTube for you to see for free. But before we get into that, my name is Felix, and if you're looking for hype, excitement, or the latest news about AI, my channel is not for you. Now, most people make content around what's trending. I am not the same. I make content around what works. So if you're looking for what's realistic, what's proven and pragmatic in the world of business and AI, that's me. I've set up systems in my business to create at least once a week content around AI implementation in business for 2025. So if you want to stay updated, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notification for my next video. Now, let's begin. I want to give an important safety notice because it's very important. The AI coach is not a substitute for professional help or therapy. If you experience any form of difficult emotions when you're using the AI coach, please talk to someone qualified. Use this tool responsibly. And always remember that there is time, there is a space. Like when you interact with the AI will ask you questions because the AI's job is to ask you powerful question and the most important question. And it will keep questioning you until it realizes that it is mistaken or you are mistaken. So because of that, right, it is going to challenge your way of thinking. It's going to challenge your mental models. It's going to challenge your belief systems. And when your belief systems are being challenged, it will feel very jarring, especially if you haven't done like a lot of personal development work. Being questioned about your worldviews, like certain things you hold it as fact. And it has been fact all your life. And then you realize that that fact, which you thought it was a fact, wasn't a fact. It was just a belief. So give it time. If you encounter like strong emotions, you can always take a break. Just remember that. So with that being said, setting up AI Coach Level 1. You're going to start by choosing your AI platform. And different LLMs will offer very different experiences. I find that consistently Claude 3.5 Sonnet is actually the best for AI Coach. It will hit usage limit fairly quickly, but it is the best overall. The second best is ChatGPT o1 Pro, the $200 per month. The problem with ChatGPT o1 Pro is that it takes too long to think and it disrupts your flow. ChatGPT 4o, which is the typical ChatGPT, it felt to me that it was too people-pleasing. Like I would go around asking it, we would have a session and it would keep on asking all the most unimportant questions. It is like too afraid to offend me. It is too politically correct. So I think that is not really useful. Gemini via AI Studio that the Google is better. It is also free, but it takes about 3 times longer to ask the right questions, 3 times longer to ask a hard question. I've done a lot of comparison between the two. Ultimately, I think it's just not worth it to spend time on other models. I think it's just best to just spend time with Claude Sonnet. As for DeepSeek, I haven't yet explored DeepSeek. If you want to explore with it, go ahead. However, I would recommend and strongly recommend that you try it with Claude first to get a baseline. Like make good requests. Good request means like it's a request about things that really matters to you, not just to test because you may not be so honest, may not be so vulnerable about it. When you guys are interacting more with LLMs, you realize that Anthropic team like train Claude to ask questions, whereas like Google did not train their AI to ask questions. OpenAI did not train their AI to ask questions. Like even in natural conversational settings, like natural tasks, like normal tasks with Claude, even without any prompting, Claude will ask you questions because that's how they were trained. So choose the right LLM. That's very important. So what you do then is you just start a new conversation. I'm going to demonstrate right here. I'm going to start a new conversation. Now, it is important that you maintain one conversation for one issue. If you're trying to fit multiple issues or topics in a single conversation, it will cause you to hit usage limit very quickly. So stay focused on one conversation. One conversation, one issue. Don't mix multiple topics. Then you key in the AI Coach universal prompt. Very simple, like this. Like this, yeah, simple as that. Context, help me with that. Ask me one clarifying question at a time and make it the most important one. If I say something that may show as a limiting belief, question me until I realize it. So I'm going to break down the anatomy of this for a while. When you say help me with that, when you give a context, right? As an example, here are a couple of examples. I keep procrastinating on important work until the last minute, and I don't understand why I do this, even though it stresses me out. This is a problem, right? You can make it an objective as well. I want to write a book, but I freeze up every time I sit down to start. I need help to understand what's blocking me. That's an objective. An observation. I notice I get really anxious whenever someone criticizes my work, even if it's constructive feedback. So literally anything that is in your heart, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's the beauty of the AI coach. You can literally replace that in the context. And help me with that means you're asking the AI to assist you without specifying how it assists you. This first sentence right here allows the AI to explore in its own way, which is actually much more powerful than most people realize. A lot of times people think that they have to micromanage the AI. You don't actually need to do that. Most times, if you let the AI do its thing, it's going to create something pretty good for you. Then we create the restriction. There's only one restriction, and the restriction is ask me one clarifying question at a time and make it the most important one. This line is a very important line. This forms the core of the AI coach. When you create this line, what it does is that it puts all the awesome computational powers of AI to go and explore among all the different possibilities. Could this be the case? Could this be the case? Could this be the case? And then it's going to do its own, it's going to utilize its own analysis and training to figure out like what is the one most like likely path to follow and ask you one specific question within that path. The next line right here, if I say something that may show as a limiting belief, question me until I realize it. This line here is because the problem with us is that most times the problem isn't external. Most times the problem is internal, right? Software too complicated. It's actually because like it's not this too complicated. It's just that we don't want to go and spend the time to go and explore it. A lot of the issues that we face as a human, like health, relationship, money, it doesn't come from external problems, but it comes from our inability to stay consistent to do something. Like we know exactly what we need to do, but we just don't do it. But how do we realize it? We realize it by talking to a coach. But a coach's primary duty, do an exploration to figure out what are the things that is limiting us, that is holding us back, and point it out for us. And this line does exactly that. So if I put any of the examples here, I notice I get really anxious. I just replace the context with this. And I press enter. And that's it. And this initiates the conversation with the AI coach. Before we explore this further, I'd like to understand, what do you typically tell yourself when you receive criticism, even if it's constructive? Yeah. So you got that. So just share your situation naturally, answer the question. You can take the time. Always remember that this is not a human, and whatever you write over here isn't used as a training data. So you don't have to like hold yourself back. You don't have to try and take care of your face. You can be completely honest. You will be able to tell the AI coach things that you would never be willing to tell any other human beings on the planet Earth. You can have that assurance. You can have that sort of privacy to really explore, and that creates a very safe space to do things. So that is basically it. And if you want to personalize the AI coach, right? Sometimes you may notice that AI coach will explain why it's asking this question. Like over here, it did a great job, but sometimes it might say, the reason why I'm asking is because of blah, blah, blah. If you don't want that, you can actually just inject this part in. Like you don't have to explain to me why you're asking a question. And you can just inject the part like this. Now the responses are simpler. So if you prefer AI coach to talk more simply, this is how you do it. And then there are heat levels as well. So AI coach is great because it cuts through the BS and it's relentless at asking you the most important question. But not everyone can handle this level of directness. And honestly, some of the questions kind of hurts. So similar to how restaurants serve spicy food, you can actually control the heat level of spice you want to experience. The original recipe, I call the bulldog ramen, which is the original AI prompt. So this is the full spice. Like if you want to use it, use it. And then you got the Indian curry. The only difference over here, all right, is that the last line, it says, if I say something that may show us a limiting belief, question me until I realize it. I just remove until I realize it. So he said, if I say something that may show a limiting belief, question me. That's it. And then you have the Japanese curry. Japanese curry is literally not spicy at all. So help me with that. Ask me one clarifying question at a time and make it the most important one. Yeah. And then if you want vanilla a la mode, like super vanilla, help me with that. Ask me one clarifying question at a time. So it may not even ask you the most important question. At this point, vanilla version, it might not even be a coach anymore, so I wouldn't recommend it. What I definitely wouldn't recommend, which is something that a friend of mine accidentally did, So if you want extra spicy just for fun, then you simply change this line here. Instead of questioning you, you say challenge me until is it. So that is basically AI coach level 1. To see one of it in action, one of the things that I like about AI coach is that you can actually use it for difficult dilemmas or sticky situations. So this is a typical husband situation. So I had a conversation with the AI coach about this. Every time my wife asks me if she got fat, I feel cornered because she is getting fat, but I'm too afraid to say it because if I do, then she'd get upset with me. And then the AI coach here, help me with that, ask me one clarifying question at a time and make it the most important one, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Let me ask you what I think is the most crucial question here. What makes you believe that being honest about her weight gain and maintaining a supportive relationship with your wife are mutually exclusive outcomes? I say, oh, she gets upset with me every time I tell the truth. By the way, I'm not married. I'm just making this up. And then the AI coach says, when she's gotten upset after you told her the truth, was it about what you said or how you said it? Can you give me an example of how the conversation typically goes? She would ask her question. I would say, yes, honey, you are in fact getting fat. And it's, the directness of saying, yes, honey, you are in fact getting fat reveals something important I want to explore. What do you think your wife is actually seeking when she asks this question? Is she looking for factual assessment of her weight? Or could she be expressing deeper concerns or feelings that need to be addressed? And then the AI coach says, I notice you're approaching this very literally, treating her question as purely factual when it likely carries emotional weight. Let me ask you this. When she asks, have I gotten fat? What do you think she might really be worried about underneath the question? It could be her health, her attractiveness to you, or her health, her self-esteem, or something else entirely. Understanding her real concern would help shape how you can respond both honestly and supportively. Oh, okay, I see. Then we have a solution. So sticky situations like this, and here's the thing: you can hit the AI up anytime to talk about stuff like that, and you will actually do a pretty good job. What I showed you so far is the AI coach level 1, and it's amazing, right? But when you combine the AIC with a process, I guarantee you it will blow your mind. And that's what I call the AI coach level 2. See, there are many things that you can combine with the AI coach level 1 to make it even more powerful. Stuff like offer creation, copywriting, content strategies. That's what most people are using AI for. But you can also couple it with frameworks around personal development, such as parenting, relationships, health and fitness, anything. I'm saying this because I want to open up your mind around the other possibilities of AI. Most people are using AI to improve their work, but that's just half of what AI can do. There's a whole other side of using AI that nobody seems to be talking about, and that's using AI to improve ourselves. I'm going to give you a personal story to share how this works, and I also want to give you an opportunity to experience an AI coach process that has been life-changing for me and my community members. It's pay as you wish, even if it is just $0, so that budget will never be a problem. I'll tell you more about this later, but for now, I want to share my story with you. So many years ago, me and a few of my friends started a gym. There was initially a lot of excitement around it. We thought things were good. We thought we got it handled. But 2 years in, and we found that we were continuously bleeding money. Our clients were leaving to competitors who were better funded. They got better equipment, better environment, better ambiance, and there were many things that we did while trying to gain back our market share, but ultimately we failed. After 4 years in business, we had to shut it down. And it was a very, very dark time in my life. I still remember that back then, every single day was just a pendulum swing between severe depression and chronic anxiety. My mental health was bad. It was so bad. I was completely burned out because I was working nonstop, 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week for 4 years straight. And on top of all that, I was still broke. I got nothing to show for all of my efforts. I even had to take out a personal loan just to sustain myself. So when we finally had to shut down the gym, I was feeling very lost. No income, no savings, and no plan. But for the first time in 4 years, I finally have time to think, time to reflect on what went wrong. And I realized something important, that most of the problems was caused by me. All of the mistakes was my decisions. I've invested so much time in that 4 years, constantly thinking about how can I create more impact, give more value, and grow my business. But when I focus on all of these external things, I stop focusing on myself. I stop upskilling. I stop filling up my own cup. And eventually, I hit a brick wall. I hit my capacity, I burned out, and I became a very unpleasant person with all the wrong mindsets. Because of my personal wrong mindset, I made all the wrong choices, and because of my unpleasantness, I drove talents and clients away. That was ultimately what caused my business to fail. I learned that the biggest bottleneck in any business is, in fact, not the strategy, the environment, or the team. It's the person running the business themselves. Today, I've been in business for a little over 10 years now, and consistently, I keep seeing that the biggest challenge in business is rarely mechanical, it's mental. So the most important work, I personally believe, that we can do for the world is in fact the work that we do in ourselves. When we work on ourselves, everything else will fall in line. So 5 years ago, I started creating a system for myself. Every year, I would go away, I would set a couple of days aside of my personal time, I would go away and do a form of deep assessment with myself to reflect how my year went, to reassess my mindset around all the areas of my life, and set new goals for the year. I call this the envisioning process, and my life started changing dramatically. My thoughts and my actions finally matched my goals. And after many years of being stagnant, my income finally started growing again. I created a successful business, and as a result, over the years, I've developed a small following of people who joins me for my yearly envisioning process, even though I wasn't publicly advertising about it, because everybody saw how I personally transformed through the years. And all of that is powerful, but when I combined this process with the AI coach last year, the results were even more mind-boggling. People have been raving about how life-changing this process has been, and you can see it through all the messages that I've been receiving. Over 100 people have gone through this process by now, and every single one of them has been mind-blown. Their actions and their thoughts are finally matching their goals and their plans. People are keeping the promises that they made with themselves. They are done with half-finished, abandoned goals. In the community that I founded to support this group, people are thriving. So here's the opportunity. I've packaged all of this into a pay-as-you-wish system that I made available to everyone. Why? Because this is good. And I want to share this process with everyone on the planet. People who have spent over $30,000 on coaching have remarked that this process is more powerful than most of the stuff that they paid for. But you can pay whatever you want, or whatever you feel is fair. Even if it is $0, you can just give it a try and only pay if you feel like it. So you can go to the payment link right now, put $0 in the payment page, then pay later in the course page, and that is perfectly fine by me, because my only objective in sharing this is to share it. So you will get in return the recording of a workshop that I did recently for over 70 people who registered. You will get a written integration guide that comes with all the frameworks that you'll need to do the process effectively, a Notion envisioning dashboard to set and track all your monthly goals for the whole year, and a lifetime access to our community of envisioning practitioners, all of them with access to the same AI Coach Level 2 that you now have. You will also get 7 special custom GPT assistants that I developed to help you with your implementation. Now, since it's a pay-as-you-wish model, and you can even have it for free if you want to, it's already yours. All you got to do is just claim it. I just want to make this accessible to everyone, and that's why it's a pay-as-you-wish, even if it is $0. If you choose to pay, however, every contribution will support me to develop a dedicated AI coaching app so that even more people will have access to this life-changing way of using AI. If you want to know more about AI coaching app, you can email me about it at info@felixday.com, or you can learn about it through the AI coaching documentation you'll find inside the Envisioning course portal. The link to the pay-as-you-wish payment page is in the description. So let's make this year the year that you start keeping every promise you make to yourself.